We're leaving Guthrie Castle about 9 in the morning on the 24th, a day after the last day of the seminar kids left. And on our way to London to fly down to, Aberdeen to fly to London, and then take a car to Oxford University, where I speak tomorrow evening. And as of right now, we're oversubscribed, both for the Oxford tickets, which will be students, and the free tickets they gave to us to allocate to QLA mentees and devotees. And we're allocating them to the QLA kids on a first come, first served basis, whoever registered. So by the time you hear this, I will have already talked at Oxford. And tonight we're having dinner, as I understand it, in the dining room, the Harry Potter dining room, which I think is at the Christ College, I think. I'm not sure where it is, but good. What?
Went to the Harry Potter place in Inverloch Castle.
I don't know. Anyway, so my speech at Oxford tomorrow night will be Barrio Bad Boy to Laird of Guthrie Castle, which I've never actually talked about that before. For one title of a speech, in the first 20 or so minutes of the hour and a half I'm going to be there will be just a brief introduction by me, and then open to questions and answers to the students and the QLA kids. I am looking forward to it. Although I've been to Oxford before, I've never been to the university, but I've actually been to Oxfordshire maybe 30 years ago. So it ought to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. My voice is a little roof this morning from me screaming for a week at the seminar kids, and it was quite interesting. The kids, the morning that they left, which was yesterday morning, some of them left actually in the afternoon, but at breakfast were making comments about how energized I was, and they were all tired, and I was on my feet working 15 hours a day for a week, and they were sitting on the lard, fat, lazy arses, and they were tired, and I wasn't. They certainly weren't tired from their physical outputs, because they didn't do anything physically. A few of them worked out, a few of them ran in the morning, a few of them played golf, but they certainly were tired from the reduction of their minimal emotional bank accounts, which I punched a lot of those buttons, and I punched them daily, and for a few that I believe need more of the button punching, more of them got it. It never ceases to amaze me, the naivete of the kids for 23 years, because this is my 23rd anniversary, right in this time frame, plus or minus a few days, and but they ask pretty much the same questions, and the millennials have a substantially different attitude or outlook on life than the rest of the kids, and that's subject to, or based on positive, that they have a lot more information. Information now, the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, is instantaneous. You can get whatever you want and read whatever you need to know, and or listen to whatever you need to know, or by and through social media. One of the questions that came up during the seminar is, they know that I don't believe in reading all the books. I gave the 7 or 8 books that I believe that and know that are worth reading, which I've listed on other podcasts and listed on my site. I've read those books a couple of times each, or more than a couple of times each, but I haven't read any others to speak of vis-a-vis personal development or motivation or training, coaching. And a couple of questions were asked, along the lines, is it because I don't think anything else is worthwhile? The answer is yes. Or is it because I'm so busy doing other things, i.e. I'm pulling the trigger and taking action? And the answer to that is also yes. So there may have been 1 or 2 or 5 books in the last 25 years that were written that were worthwhile, but I wouldn't know about them, or I certainly wouldn't have read them. And one of the things which they all looked surprised, the few books like Bold, which is the book on raising capital with crowdfunding, which I've never done a crowdfunding deal because all the other transactions that we've been involved in these many years have been able to be funded with the sources of funding that I go through in some detail. But when I wanted to know about crowdfunding, I looked on Wikipedia. And so in 4 or 5 paragraphs, it told me what essentially my QLA kids had told me, that it's a book on how to use crowdfunding effectively, and it's basically follows a very similar methodology to QLA. So some of the books that you read, you could probably spend 5 or 8 minutes looking at what they're about on Wikipedia. I'm not saying Wikipedia is the standard bearer of all knowledge, but it's certainly good enough to give you a general idea of what some subject is and or a specific topic, which the kids look very much surprised that they hadn't thought of that, since they seem to use Wikipedia and the internet for sure as a crutch. We had 2 active duty military. We had a Marine, Lance Corporal, and we had a Sergeant, Air Force. The Sergeant I had met before in Hawaii. He had set up an appointment with me when I was going through the airport a couple of years ago. And he was here. And the Lance Corporal I'd never met, the Marine kid. The Marine was 20 years old. The Sergeant from the Air Force was 23. And they plan on utilizing QLA, and the one sergeant that I've known already has been using it in the military, and he's been, as an aside, he's been promoted rapidly ahead of the curve, got a few awards, and he's doing a great job, and so I'm pleased to see that. And they wore their uniforms during the event. And at night they wore suits like everybody else, and of course during graduation they wore their kilts. So I was happy to see the active duty kids there. We interviewed them for my upcoming attempt at a veteran-centric reality show. I told you that after many months and many interviews and being represented by arguably the biggest talent agency in the world, I want to do a veteran-centric, and the pundits don't. So I'm going ahead on my own, and I'm going to enlist the help of some very high-profile veterans and some show business people that are veteran-friendly, and some production companies that are veteran-friendly. And the show is going to be called Boots to Suits, from military boots to suits that the kids will wear in the business world. And I'm looking forward to pushing that along. And we'll have more information to announce later on this year. Speaking of announcements, I already told you, which I'm not answering Ask the $50 Billion Man questions anymore. I said and have filmed my last 5 Ask the $50 Billion Man. This is the week before the castle. We had a whole day of shooting where I answered the last 350 or so questions, both from written questions and the questions that you've asked me on the 800 number. Well, there's no more 800 number, and there's no ability to you to send me questions anymore. And I've answered thousands and thousands and thousands of questions the last few years, and it got down to the last probably year where 98, if not 100% of all the questions that have been asked are being asked now are questions that I've asked and answered in the last few years. So, as I said already, I believe in another podcast. That tells me several things, not the least of which you're not listening to the information or reading the site with all the free content, and you're looking for a quick fix. So it will continue to be posted on my site, continue to be free, but there's no additional new questions. And it's the same format that I've followed vis-a-vis my newsletter from years ago when I wrote a newsletter from 1993 to approximately 2013, and there's about 105 issues. And when I started to get very active with my podcast, I saw no reason to continue to write the newsletter. But it's got a plethora of superb information, and there's over 100 of them. And it's just part of the content that's free on the site. It's free on the site. The new seminar for July, late July, has been announced a couple of days ago when the current seminar that just ended, upon its ending, and we've already got a number of kids signed up. We've also got kids still signing up for the hardcore in October. I've been asked what my schedule is for seminars the rest of the year, and I can't really tell you. I'm going on a long trip with Sally in November with National Geographic, where we're going to the Falklands, some islands down there, South Georgia, Antarctica, and but not as we did a few years ago when we actually flew and hiked into the magnetic South Pole, but we're going to be in Antarctica. I think it's about a 3-week trip with National Geographic, and we're looking forward to that. And it's supposed to be, well, it is very highly rated. So we've got that trip, and we've got a couple others, and not the least of which I don't have to do anything, but I'm going to have surgery on my right knee finally, and so I've got to fit this in between that and seminars and the rest of my speaking commitments and engagements. So I'm not sure past July what it will be, other than the hardcore October.